So we do have a pattern. We are here with two of our favorite people. Honestly, not just saying that because you're in front of us.
They really are one of our favorite people.
You are our favorite people. They are the owners of Shojo's Dojo, which I'm totally going to get wrong, but it is, I believe, Miami's only sake brewery. Is that...
Florida's first.
Get it right.
Sake brewery.
All right, Florida's first sake brewery.
Miami.
You know what? I'm just gonna pass it over to Madi and Haider. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Like honestly,
thank you for having us.
We love you guys. Like honestly,
and
we love you
same.
too.
It goes right back. We love y'all so much, and I mean, I honestly don't even remember how we met.
You know, I don't either. Do you?
Wasn't
because
it
you
a Saba?
you have a better memory.
Saba.
I remember I used to follow Haider as the
samurai piggy.
Yes. And I'm like, look at that guy running with his ass out in a pink thong.
Yes.
Speedo.
And we
is a sweet mute.
With those ass cheeks that was coming.
It turned into a thong, but
and we used to mutually follow each other. But then what's funny was the first time like I met them as Shojo, I didn't realize it was him. I'm like, oh wait,
Oh,
He has clothes on. Yeah.
But I think in real life, we met. It was either at Unseen and you were doing a pop up there, or Saba, because you guys used to pop up at Saba.
We did pop up at
and
Saba.
And we would go there because they were our friends.
Yeah.
So
I think also because and then the introduction formal I think was made through Mike from Hungry Yokai.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's how we actually
love Hungry Yokai. We love them. Yeah, because you know what's funny? Like you guys are people that like, you know, there's some people that you meet and you hang out with and like it's only been a few years, but I feel like I've known you guys forever now. That it's like, oh, it's Haider and Madi. It's funny. It used to be back before I knew that Haider was Lebanese. I'm like, oh, like he's Latin American. His name is Haider.
Ecuadoriano.
Colombiano.
You know, yeah. Because, you know, Haider and Madi.
He always gets Puerto Rican, Dominican.
Right. Because sometimes whether you're Middle Eastern or you're like Latin American, So I'm like, Haider. Like, hello.
Well, whenever I'm at parties and I'm introducing myself for the first time, I'll be like, "Oh, hi, I'm a Haider, Harold."
That one right there.
No, and I felt so like
Harold.
I felt so like like one time you told me that your dad did, I don't know if it was a 23andMe or something, and he was like 100% Lebanese, and I'm like, and here I was thinking this guy's name was Haider.
Not a little bit of Colombian in there? No,
you sure? Didn't like visit one weekend or something? Like, I don't know.
So, you know, a lot of times, you know, we go to Shojo's, we see the finished product, and we're like, okay, these people, this is like a well-oiled machine. But, you know, sometimes people don't know how this started. So tell our listeners, like, how did this start? Where did the love for sake come in? And, you know, and what made you think like, okay, let's do this, you know, a sake bar in Bird Road or off Bird Road. Like, how did this all start?
A block away from the studio.
Right.
Literally.
Walking distance.
So I'll start it and then he's going to jump in. But he started home brewing and that was our first
sake.
love.
It was
beer.
Beer. Okay.
We started with beer and he was a brewer at Lincoln's Beard and COVID happened. His hours got deducted. Obviously, my hours got deducted too. Even like I wasn't a brewer, but doing marketing and stuff, like all those things that people were not open fully. So he started thinking, he's like, hey, like, why don't we start our own thing? Blah, blah. He's like, why don't we start our own brewery? And I'm like, este está loco. Like, he's also a Libra, very impulsive. He thinks of like random things. Yeah, viste? He thinks of random things and he's like, this is a great idea. And I kind of entertain it, but then I try to like give it time to see what sticks. And I'm like, this guy is just talking crap right now. He's going to forget about it. 3 days later go by. Hey, so did you give it some thought? And I'm like, oh, you're for real? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, let's talk about it. I'm like, okay, cool. I entertained it again. We talked about it a little bit. And I'm like, okay, look, let's talk about a business plan. Let's figure out the next steps. And then we can go from there. We'll cross our bridge when we get there. He comes back a few days later. I got the logo. And I'm like, oh my God, he's fucking for real. What the fuck?
Wow.
And then whatever, with sake, we've always loved Japanese anything, like the culture, the food. We've always loved sake. But as we started learning about sake, we saw that there were a lot of other styles of sake that they don't have at the restaurant or they don't teach you at the restaurant. It's just clear, cloudy, hot, cold, the end. So his engineering brain, because that could be another topic for conversation of what we were doing before this.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
His engineering brain, he was like, oh, how do you make sake? So he like figured out, he looked it up and he saw that it's brewed just like beer.
Right.
So he's like, oh, I can teach myself this. Taught himself, started homebrewing sake. And then we didn't have a brick and mortar. As you know, you guys used to pop up at Seba. We were really good friends with them. They weren't doing so well, so they reached out to us. They wanted to give away the lease, and we're like, okay, like we've been looking for 2 years, so I feel like this is like perfect. We took it over almost.
Yeah.
We took it over. You guys saw what Seba used to look like.
Yeah.
We changed it completely.
Total different vibe.
And yeah, then we opened up, and it was by chance that the homebrew that he made at home, I think you had done a few, but that was the one that was like ready when we opened. Right?
No, that was the first one. Yeah.
It was just ready the day of the grand opening. It just so happened to be, and
that wasn't timed.
Yeah, it wasn't timed. We also became sake sommeliers together just for fun. We were bored, and we're like, "Fuck it, let's go." We went, took the exam. I think we passed the exam like a month before opening without even knowing. Yep. No idea that Seba was gonna happen.
Well, no, we passed the exam. We just got the certifications. Yeah.
But it's so crazy how like things are always aligned and they're supposed to happen when they happen without you even planning. Like he quit. He put in his 2 weeks for Lincoln's. Everyone thought that he quit to open up Shojo, but he just happened to quit because he just wanted to quit and put time to put towards Shojo. And when his 2 weeks were over, the next week we opened Shojo.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that's
and
incredible.
Everybody doesn't know that. Everyone was like, they were.
It wasn't that close because I put.
Or 2 weeks after, I think.
No, it was. So we did our grand opening August 5th of
and
2023.
Your last day was end of July.
Was it the end of July? No, it was the end of June. Pretty sure it was the end of June.
But well, I mean, a couple of weeks, a month.
This is why we have married couples on.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks, a month or two. Like it just like it was crazy. It just so happened like it worked out that way.
Because for the grand opening room, everyone was like, "Oh my god, congrats! You guys kept the secret." I'm like, "What secret?" They're like, "That's why you quit Lincoln's, right?" I'm like, "No, what?" No. Like,
so it was like planned but not planned.
I mean, we always had that in the plan to open up Shojo. We just didn't know it was gonna happen that quick, or when it happened.
What I think is incredible is that you've become like sake experts, if you will, in such a short amount of time. Like you were brewing sake, because I imagine, and we'll get to your Japan stint in a bit, but I imagine that sake is like an art form, and it takes a procedure, and it's a process, and like you sort of figured this out and winged it, and like a little time later it's like, oh, I have my own sake brewery, Florida's only first.
No, I mean, what's crazy with that is, like with anything, it takes practice and, time and effort and perfection. And like, I had homebrewed for so many years, and then I started professionally brewing beer. And, I was able to tune in, lock in, and like get better at that procedure. And then, with beer, like you could just type up beer on YouTube and you'll see homebrews and you'll see this, you'll see that. With sake, it's a very like kept close to the chest type of procedure, because like everybody from like, even on those YouTube videos, you'll see breweries giving you tours, like showing the process, showing, oh, we do this beer at this temperature.
Or you can even find home brewing
and home brews and clone of beers and stuff. But sake, it's like, that's why I started doing like videos and stories and all these things to like show people like, hey, you can make sake if you wanted to. It's like, it's a lot more tedious and time consuming than beer, but you can do it if you want to. And, lucky enough, like Mari said, I had my like engineering brain kind of click in, and like I was used to long hours and studying and reading and doing all these things. With sake, like there was no videos. It's just like books and like, okay, here's how you make sake. And it's like, okay.
And when he says books, you should see the amount of books that he read.
Oh, geez.
It was nuts. We're like, we wouldn't even talk to each other in bed. It's kind of like when someone's going to like school and studying. Yeah. I would be working on my phone or laptop or whatever, and he would just be next to me, like no words, highlighting things, reading.
But your initial like idea of brewing sake, was just because you wanted to. It wasn't with
He
the
was curious.
intention of
To see if you could do
open
it.
a business.
basically.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Like I never started brewing sake with the intent like we are going to open a sake brewery.
Right.
We never thought we would be the first of something.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
it's insane.
we were like, okay, we are a brewery. We're gonna brew beers. We're still gonna do collabs. We're still gonna do contract brews. We're still gonna do all these things. And then I was like, oh, like let's also add to our repertoire sake. Like if I can brew, and what's super cool about sake, and I mean at least the way I've been making it, because like you go to any of these other breweries that have like warehouses and like tons of space and like all this advanced equipment. I'm literally using like my home brewing beer equipment to make sake.
I've seen you guys do it. I've seen you guys like behind the bar, you know, where it's like, yeah, oh, okay, this whole scenario is happening back here.
I think it's quite remarkable. Like it's quite remarkable that you turned in. I mean, because I think we live in a time now, and maybe it's because of social media, that you're so like pushed to be an entrepreneur. Like that's the thing to be nowadays, an entrepreneur, right? And that's good, but I think sometimes people get into things for the wrong reasons, or they think they get into it because it's like, okay, I gotta be doing something. Like, what do I do?
Or they see someone else being successful and they're like, oh, okay, I guess this is the route that I should take.
This is what I should do. That, you know, it was COVID. You, like many people, you were like, oh, let me do this with no bigger picture. And then it just turned into something amazing. That's quite remarkable.
No, and honestly, like, to kind of jump off of that, you know, there could be people that are like, oh, I am going to fill this gap and do this one thing because nobody else is doing it. We didn't go into that. We were just like, oh, let's just add this extra facet. Since we're brewing anyways, let's just do this as well so we can.
You guys didn't even know that when you were doing it, I'm assuming.
No.
When we were about to open, we kind of looked up like, oh, like who else is brewing sake? He looked it up right before we opened. He's like, babe, we're Florida's first sake brewery. And I'm like, what?
That is
Wait,
crazy.
Just we're getting any hits, like no sake.
That's crazy because I mean, you know, Florida. Say what you want about Florida, but you know, you've got big cities.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, Orlando, Miami, Tampa. Like you would think maybe somebody somewhere tried it.
But if you think about it, like I'm gonna speak on Miami because that's where I'm born and raised. Miami's always late to the party on everything. New York will be like, you go to New York and they have 3 or 4 sake breweries.
3, yeah.
3 sake breweries. They have tons of sake
At the time
bars.
of this recording.
Yes. But they have tons of sake bars where you can literally just go and drink different types of sakes, sake cocktails. Like what you see at Shojo, think about it. Where can you do what you do at Shojo?
Right.
Nowhere. You have to go eat sushi somewhere to enjoy having sake.
Well, and even then you get a fraction of what you guys offer, you know, and I think it kind of speaks to probably just the fact that you guys educated yourselves of reading of the book and everything. That's the first thing that I noticed the first time I went there was it's not just like, oh, come here and like, you know, sake bombs and get drunk or whatever. Like you can, don't get me wrong, they will take your money. But you guys have a whole like flight, and you like you Haider, one of the first times I went there, sat with me and Jose and we're like, you know, and this is this one and this one's gonna taste like this, and then this one. There was an education aspect to it. And I think that speaks to the fact you guys take, you know, for somebody who you guys kind of fell into this part of it, you've taken the responsibility seriously of being Florida's, you know, premier sake brewery.
And I mean, you kind of have to, right? Because actually, you don't have to. We could just be, hey, we're Florida's
Here's
first
a
sake
sake
brewery and bar. Enjoy,
right.
and that's it, and then just leave it at that. But the biggest thing for us, and that we want to push and emulate, is the fact that whenever someone walks through that door, if anybody's ever has a question about sake, or if it's their first time experiencing sake, or if they love sake but they want to know more about it, we want it to be that facility where you could come in, ask any questions, or if it's your first time, educate you on sake. So it's not just that, I'm not going to name the name of the place because they don't deserve the mention. Hot sake, here you go. This is enjoy, and
you don't even know what's in that.
You don't know what the sake is. You don't know, and like the way they'll typically heat that sake up is just throw it in the microwave and nuke it, and then and then what happens is, like, when you heat something up at that intensity and that long, all the flavor gone, the aromatics gets evaporated. All you're literally drinking, and we've had it before, is like the fusel. That's all you're just getting, alcohol. And we didn't want to be that. We wanted someone or people to come to our place and be like, I want to learn, drink, have sake, and I also don't want to pay $300 for an omakase so I could drink different sakes that are only available at this one place. We
Right.
just want it to be a neighborhood bar that you can come 2, 3, 4 times a weekend, enjoy different beers, sake, our beers, our sake, and like the 50 plus labels that we have, and just like learn about different sakes from different regions of Japan.
So
and if I can, sorry, I want to correct you for a moment there because you said you want to be a neighborhood bar. You guys are actually a community bar.
Aw.
Let me be
Thank
very
you.
clear about that.
Thank
You
you.
guys have built that world, and it is a community bar, not a neighborhood bar.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
So I really want to get into the Japan of it all because I thought that was such a noble thing to do, and when you're done talking about it, I'll tell you why I thought that. But tell our listeners and our viewers about last summer. You were in Japan. You were in Japan as well. But that was a big deal. That was a big deal. You are a sake master.
Number 6 in the world.
No,
Number six.
Number 6 in
There's
the
only
world.
6, and he's number 6. Only number 6 in the world.
Okay, now
More
even
impressed. Yeah.
So before I jump into that, the only reason I was able to do that was because I had a partner back home that was able to carry the weight of taking care of the bar and the brewery when I was gone.
Wasn't fun.
her back was hurt.
But listen, as someone who was there doing pop-ups while you were out and watching you handled it fucking flawlessly. And you listen, it's like the duck scenario, right? Where it's like it looks graceful, but underwater you're paddling like hell. I'm sure it was
that was me.
Right, I'm
Doggy
sure it was
paddling,
that. But you
and
know
you just
what?
see my head floating.
You know what? No, but it made it very clear to us that like it is a partnership because at no moment was it like Haider's not here.
Yeah.
You know, it never felt like that. It was like you were both your presence was there, regardless of one of you not being.
Yeah, like even though I was still like I did what I could, right? Like if I had to order, you know, the inventory or you know do I was still doing like the admin stuff and like the billing and accounting and all that. But she was on.
She's a spitfire, bro.
Come
like,
on.
look at her.
Come
look
on.
at her. Look at her. She's like five feet of of muscle, but like you know.
So I did the Master of Sake certification with the Sake Sommelier Academy, and what was really cool about that, and I found out January. I applied in December of 2023. January 2024, I found out that I got accepted. And I was like, cool, so who am I going with? And they're like, just you, buddy. And I'm like, oh, sick. All right, cool.
You're the only one there?
I was the only one there.
Wow.
So I studied at Nishiyama Shuzo. Nishiyama is the family name. Kotsuzumi is the sake that they make. And they are in Tamba, Hyogo. So Hyogo is like the land of sake. Like it's they make Yamada Nishiki there, which is like the #1 sake rice. And like it was such an amazing experience. Like I will never forget that. Like the relationships that I made, the things that I learned about sake, and like Mari can tell you, like prior to leaving on the trip, I mean, I still am hyper focused and I still like lock in on things. And if things don't go my way, I get super bratty and you know, but especially with sake, because it's something that I make and something that I'm doing. And, you know, like I want to be the best and make the best version of that product. You know, like if the temperature was off or, you know, if I was missing an ingredient or something or whatever, you know, like I would like lose my shit and I would not be okay. But having had gone on the trip, this is a brewery that's been open since 1849.
Wow.
And they, you know, just seeing how they worked, how they reacted to things, how like they were just always happy and just always there, always like focused on the task at hand. And the two things that I learned there that I absolutely loved and that I brought back, and Mari can attest to it, was one was they work to live, they don't live to work.
Right.
Which was crazy to me because, you know, with the things we see in media in with Japanese culture, it's like, yeah, it is a part of it where we have that American mindset of like, I have to work as much as I can. I got to do all these things. I got to do this. I got to do that. It's like, oh, I have this deadline Friday. It's Tuesday. I'm never going to get done. So I'm going to work, you know, 60 hours to, you know, get that thing done. And even though that time doesn't make sense, but, So
It does if you're drinking sake.
it does. It does. You get that future presentation. But so I would work the morning shift, right? Or for all the time, I would work the morning shift. So we would always start the day with Radio Taiso. And for those that don't know, Radio Taiso is kind of like a Tai Chi, kind of like a wake up morning stretch routine. But this is done nationwide.
Like it's on the radio.
That's
Even
why it's
kids
called
in school
Radio
stop.
Taiso. Yeah. So 8:30 in the morning, you hear dung dung dung, and then it gets going, and it's like you're stretching and moving and like getting the blood flowing, like it wakes you up, it gets you ready for the day. So that happens. Then 9 o'clock, we're doing meetings, and then we do a company meeting. Then we broke off into our sectors, the brewery meeting, and then I was in the brewery from like 9 till I would stay till 12, which was like my lunch break. But between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., they would have people throughout the brewery like take their lunch break. It could be, it's not like here where it's like, oh, you have a half hour, an hour, or whatever. You would go into the kitchen, eat, wash your dishes, and for however long you need it to take to get your mind right, then you go back to work. Then at 5, you hear the town was so small, there was like a bell in the sound, like an alarm in the sound, like again, dung dung dung, like it's like, hey, time to go home. Like, the work day's done. So I would stay in the brewery till like 5:36 because I just wanted to do extra things. And when I tell you that this is like a brewery of 60 people with office and like the brewery workers and everything, I would get out of the brewery, like finishing whatever tasks I needed to do, and tumbleweeds. Like there was no one on that. Whatever they didn't finish that day, when the morning shift was done, they were gone. They were going home. They were going to their families. They were like taking the rest that they needed for like all the work that they did that day, and then I'll see them again tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. Then the night shift came in and they did their work as well. But to me, that was such a crazy because I was going and thinking like, oh, it's gonna be like it's sake. It's alive. It's moving. It's functioning. It's like you got to be on top of it. And there were times where my Toji-san would be like, it'll work out. Like something would go wrong, or maybe we were missing, like we didn't have enough of a certain ingredient, or like we had too much of something, or something like that, right? And I'm like, oh my god, like I would have been freaking out, like I was like sweating bullets, and he's just like, don't worry about it. It'll work out.
So not the perception we have of Japanese culture.
Well, also, let me say, I was in a bubble.
He wasn't living in.
I was in Tokyo.
Exactly.
I was in Tokyo or Osaka, Kyoto.
He was more like in
the
farmland.
But again, as a whole, that's just the perception we have of Japanese culture.
Overall, yeah.
Overwork.
And then when you tell me something that's been around that long, you
would think
you almost double down on that thought, right?
I was following your journey on Instagram. Like I would love your stories and your posts because they felt, I know you were working, but they felt so sort of zen because you could tell that you were in a small city or in a small area, and they were so like, look at Haider in a garden, look at, but you felt it. You felt it. It came through in the pictures, No,
and absolutely, and like what's so cool is that which leads to the second part of the things that I learned about in Japan about sake was there, beyond the hard work and the practice and the training that it takes to make like great sake, there's a spiritual side, there's a spiritual aspect to it as well. Right. Like it's so much so that there's like a Shinto shrine on the same property of the brewery that I worked at.
We have one too at Shojo now.
We have a shrine at Shojo as well, which is something that I learned there. And like the 1st and the 15th of every month, to their sake shrines, they pour new sake, and they cut what's called the sakaki tree leaf, because the kanji for sakaki is the same kanji for kami, which translates to God. So it's seen as like a godly, like
a spiritual tree.
Yeah. So we actually got a sakaki bush, and we started cutting the leaves, adding it to the shrine. We add our own sake to the shrine, and just that spiritual aspect alongside like the hard work that it takes to make great sake, like I absolutely fell in love with, and we brought that back as well.
So one of the reasons why, I mean, obviously we were going to have you talk about that and ask you about that, but one of the reasons I love that you did that is because in this world now of like, what's cultural appropriation, what isn't, what's appropriation versus appreciation. Like, you guys had a very successful business at this point. You didn't need to do that, right? You had already this up and going. You had that, you're from Miami, you're Lebanese, and here you went and you took, what was it, 3 months?
Yeah, it was 2 months for the certification, and then we like. I know Mari needed the vacation, so then we took. She came and joined me, and then, dude, imagine that's a quarter of a year for me that I was gone.
Right.
And then Mari came, and then we just hopped
Right.
to Japan.
But you took time out of your business. You sort of put your life on hold for a bit to go do this and sort of honor that, because it's really what you were doing. You were honoring that craft. You didn't need to do it, but you were honoring that craft, and I think that's so important nowadays, that if you're going to do something that's outside of your realm or maybe what you grew up with or your culture, just learn it, honor it, if you're going to do it. And you guys did that.
But you know what's crazy? You saying that, and I don't know if you feel the same way. You're saying that to me, and I'm like learning something about us where I'm like, wow, we're really good people, because
yeah,
we didn't go with that intention of like, oh yeah, let's go to Japan to show people how much we care. Like, I think when you're a good person, like, it just happens automatically and you do those things.
You weren't doing it for the end result of
no,
being able
and
to,
honestly, it shows though. I hope that you guys can try. We have a little bit left of like the new sake. I wish we would have brought it, but we did bring Doburoku, which is another style of sake, which we can talk about when we bring it out.
Why we're not pouring?
This is a segue.
Yeah, but my thing is that I heard all the things that he learned about. I mean, like he learned about and like the things that he brought back, but I didn't really see the result until that sake that he brewed after he came back from Japan, when it was ready and we tried it. I tried it and I literally thought he was playing a prank on me, because he's like, hey, he calls me into the brew house and he's like, hey, come over here, come try the sake. I'm bottling it. And I'm like, okay. So I go try it and I didn't see him pour it. I thought that he had like a Japanese sake in the brew house that he poured to like give me a prank. Right. Yeah. So I tried it and I'm like, yo, this is fucking good. I'm sorry, are we supposed to curse?
You can curse.
I was like, is this...
No FCC. There's no FCC regulation here.
I was like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, what sake from Japan is this? He goes, babe, that's our sake.
Wow.
And I was
the
like...
sake from Japan.
And I was like, what? I told him so many times, I'm like, I am so proud of you. Like, I cannot even begin to tell you how proud... Like, when I say that, I mean it. Like, I always get goosebumps when I say it, because I'm like, it showed in the product.
He doesn't suck.
No, it's not even that. It's just
Haider, she loves you.
Just when like you see the progression on someone's work, on like how good they craft whatever it is that they're trying to be perfect at. And for him, he's very impatient. So he wants to see his results now.
Okay.
And with sake, you can't be like that, because it's kind of like when you make bread. If you rush the bread and you're not being kind to it, you're gonna taste it at the end. That's kind of the same thing with sake, where like I feel like he learned to be patient in Japan. He learned to take it easy. He learned that if he made a mistake, take a chip
that
and learn
goes
how
to the
fix
whole
it.
thing of being authentic, right? Because if you're going to do something that's out of your wheelhouse just culturally, you have to make an effort to be authentic
and learn from the people who have been doing it for
100 and some years.
Exactly.
Because we live in such an inauthentic world nowadays, and people are posers and all that, social media and all that, that when somebody does do that they take the time to learn and honor. Again, honoring something, it's very important, because like how like upset do we get when we see something of our culture being misrepresented or like being butchered, and you're like,
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so what are we drinking here?
So this is not ours, but we'll bring it out.
This is one of the homies.
One of our really good friends. It's another.
Give him a shout out.
It's another sake brewery. They're in the United States. They're brewing out of Virginia, right? Oishi sake. Oishi in Japanese translates to delicious.
Okay, well.
So
cheers.
Very easy, very on point.
Well, cheers, salud,
Kampai.
Kampai.
I'll do an extend over there.
Cheers.
So tell us a little bit. This one that we're drinking, like, what is the profile?
So this is their junmai sake. So junmai translates to pure rice. Only rice water, yeast, and koji is used in the process. No other additives. And there has to be at a polishing ratio of at least 70% on the rice for it to be considered a junmai, or like a premium style sake.
So what is a polishing ratio?
So
look at him talking technical to us.
I was like, the shoes. So
you got him going.
So what's interesting with sake rice is that the starch is in the center of the grain. So the more you so polishing essentially means that it's just like sanding down the outside of the rice. So you tear away fats and proteins so you can get closer to the center and only have the starchiness or the starch in the finished product. So you have less fats and proteins, which will kind of impart kind of like not great flavors on the sake. And the more you polish, the more expensive it gets because of how long it takes to do that. So when you say when I say 70%, that means 70% of the original grain of rice is left behind for this sake.
So when we taste sake, to us mere mortals, us lay folk, what are we looking for? What is it, like wine that you're looking for notes and things like that? What are we supposed to be looking for?
So a common misconception that everyone thinks is like, okay, like this is a style like Chardonnay, right? And I'm talking about wine to make it simple. What am I looking for? Like, what are you looking for? You tell me. Everyone has a different nose, a different palate, you know? A som can probably tell you what you can look for in general for a Chardonnay, but there's no wrong or right like smell or taste.
But you know how
so
people
you
are like,
tell me what you take.
no,
what
you know people are like, it's an earthy tone with like a hint of lemon
So, like-
and a woodsy.
so
I think
first-
this is very light.
So okay,
what I
but
will say is it's funny because it's light, but yet I still feel like it kind of coats my tongue.
so taste it. Try to think of like memories of things that you've smelled, things that come back like, okay, this gives me like vibes of like, I don't want to. We always do this when we do flights with people. We don't like to say what we taste or smell because we want them to get like their own general vocabulary.
Well, I feel bad because I feel like Junior needs to like. Come, you need
that-
to get
I-
up and come over here.
Yeah,
There's a cup here for you, sir.
I got you.
There's a cup here for you.
So what do you get? Like one thing that stands out, like flavor profile.
So what I would say about this when we're talking flights or when we're like leading people down the line and like kind of teaching them, I'd be like, okay, so I got a medium body on this sake. And then I'd be like, I'm not going to tell you what I taste or smell. I'm going to wait for you to tell me because I already know what I taste and smell. Because as soon as I tell you what I taste and smell,
You're gonna be like,
you're gonna have
"Oh,
that
that's
placebo
right."
effect because
Exactly.
I got it because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
Right.
It's
Especially
getting
hello, we're
there.
talking to a
I'm like,
master.
it smells familiar. Like I've smelled something like this before.
I already know what I'm gonna say. I already have it in my mind.
Like to me, it smells, and I'm not watching me be like completely wrong. And he says something.
There's
and
no
I know-
wrong.
and I'll be like, there's always a wrong answer.
No, there's no
nothing
wrong.
wrong or
Not
right.
when it comes to tasting.
It smells to me like wine. Like it doesn't smell like quote unquote sake, right? It smells.
Okay.
It smells to me more like what
It
you
has
would
more wine characteristics.
what you would classify as like a wine
Okay.
scent. But then, like I said, when I'm drinking it, it's not that it feels heavy, but it does feel like it coats my tongue a little bit before I drink it. So I don't know what to make of this. Is my bottom
So
line.
a main thing to on scent, and this is not cheating because there's still many things that you can think of, but there are two components that you're always gonna smell on sake. It's either fruity or floral on the nose, and based
With-
on that,
with the more premiums, because then you can also get cereal or grainy.
yeah,
Floral
on the
on the side,
ligori
yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Is this one floral?
But what do you get?
See,
You-
I don't.
you
That's
tell
the thing
me.
is, I don't smell either of those. So that's why I know I have the wrong answer because I smell not.
It smells floral to me.
So what I smell, it's floral, but what I get is kind of like, have you ever smelled like an Easter lily flower, and like it tastes like that powdery that has like on the nectar thingy,
Okay, I see where you're going.
I
with it.
definitely get the
like
floral, not the
perfume,
citrus.
perfume.
I don't smell it, but I get
So-
what you're saying.
I don't get citrus, but also citrus is a flavor profile and aromatic that you can get.
Mhm.
So me personally, I get honeydew. Like the honeydew melon,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
green melon. That's what I
Okay.
get on this. And I get
But
like
honeydew is a weird one because honeydew is a fruit, but it smells floral.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
and with because like sometimes you might get like sometimes I've gotten honeydew on certain sakes, but like it's like when you're eating the honeydew.
Oh my god, it's so true. Now I think of honeydew. Now it tastes
See?
like honeydew.
See, the food is done.
No,
That's-
But on-
honeydew.
On the tasty notes, yeah, but I the honeydew is the green one, right?
I don't like melon, so that's why I'm.
But you
totally-
like this.
No, I like this. I'm just saying, but that's since I don't eat
A mí
melon.
no te gusta melón.
I don't
So
know melon.
what wine? So you said wine. I'm thinking Pinot Grigio.
Yeah,
That-
yeah.
like that. Like,
Like-
I would get that
yeah,
on this.
like a drier.
Yeah.
yeah. Yay, okay, thank you.
Well, I like it.
All right, the master says I'm not entirely
No,
incompetent.
and,
when it
and,
comes-
look, and that's one thing I don't like as well. And I'm just saying this in like the wine realm, like in the wine realm, like with especially with sommeliers that they're so up their own ass. It's like, oh, this red from this region is, you're going to get this and this, and it's like, no, bro, everybody's palate.
Yeah, and imagine
you
that
got
person's
like,
right.
palate is like so refined that they get different things.
With this type of dirt.
yeah.
The regular consumer doesn't even care where the dirt comes from, and like they're not gonna get that,
Oh,
you know.
and I don't have a palate.
You just eat.
her palate is a lot better than mine. And,
So,
and
yeah.
people look at me like, oh, what do you get? I'm like, well, you told me what you get, bro. I don't know.
All right, so then what that means is that next summer you get to go and become a master in Japan.
I told him, because a lot of people have asked me that. They're like, oh, like, because I love being educated. It's the only reason I became a wine sake som, and got educated in beer as well. I don't think I have interest in becoming a master of sake, because that's like learning how to brew.
That's the brewing side
I don't
of
care
things, yeah.
about being a brewer.
Okay.
Like, I applaud everyone who is a brewer, but I'd rather be on the other side where, like, I know the technicalities, I know how it's made. I can just explain how sake is done. Same with wine, same with beer. And I love sitting down to like talk about tasting notes and educating people about these things that go in the glass. But to brew or to make anything,
I love it.
It's not your jam.
I love it. It's my zen. Especially for how long the process is. Like,
How long does it take?
So
Doburoku takes
I mean,
2
approximately.
weeks.
on
yeah,
average.
well,
2
Dobroku
weeks.
takes a week. So I'm also gonna say this here because we've been talking about this. I'm gonna set the record straight. Nigori is not unfiltered sake. That is one common thing that we hear a lot from people. So Nigori, the cloudy sake, the white sake, that it literally Nigori translates to cloudy sake. So what they do with that is that they filter it, they press it, but it's just coarsely filtered, so rice leaves get through, and that's what gives it its cloudy appearance.
Also, sake is not rice wine.
That's another one.
Listen,
I know, that was- listen, when I first
just
walked
wanna
in, that's what I
I don't
thought.
know if you've
That's
noticed.
what I
I'm just
thought.
sitting here looking at you guys like, wow, you should have your own podcast.
I told him that.
Savoring sake with Shojo.
Ooh.
You heard the name. You got it. Trademark.
But I don't want to be just tied down to sake, because while we brew sake, like, I love.
All right, so sipping with Shojo.
Boom.
I did tell him, like, open up a YouTube, bro. We'll just talk shit at home. It
It just
doesn't
happens
need to
that
be
one of
anything
them,
fancy.
one of them is one of the 6 sake masters.
Well, actually, I'm gonna say that here. If anybody can comment on this episode, or if y'all can help me, my YouTube got like shut down. I don't know why, and I can't get access back to it. I had another YouTube before that I had like a bunch of videos
long
and
ago?
followers. Like, I don't know when they shut it down.
And that's what he would do at home. He would just sit down and like,
I was doing beer reviews at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So back, I know we're jumping all over the place, but so
That's how we roll here.
Doburoku is unfiltered sake. So it literally takes a week to make. You throw all the ingredients in once. You steam the rice, you throw the koji, the water, all that stuff in at once. You ferment it warm, and it's done fermenting in a week. But the thing with Doburoku is that you leave it as is. You don't filter, you don't press, you don't do anything. It's just that.
it's chunk.
So it's for
Arroz con leche with ABV.
Right.
ABV arroz con leche. And
All right,
that's
so
what
do
I
you
was
have
gonna say.
this already at the...
We have it
We
here
have
for
it
you
right
guys
here.
to try.
Yay!
Keep
So-
pouring.
So a fun fact about Doburoku, which I love to like let people know. This is actually a very special style that you guys are gonna try, because Japanese people, we tell them that we have Doburoku and they're like, oh. Like that's also a reaction that they get. Like, it's an excitement, or they're
That's an
confused.
authentic reaction.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally.
Heard it here first.
Every time that we tell a Japanese native, oh, we have Doburoku, they're like, what? How? What?
It's that
Give it to me
difficult?
now. Because you can't
a fresh
transport that.
product, yeah.
It's something that's unpasteurized, something that it's unfiltered. So imagine transporting that from Japan to the United States, those bottles are gonna
Bottles be
pop.
popping. Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if you heard that,
it just-
that hiss.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
I was like, carbonated.
so that's something that people go very crazy for. You find it at your nearest sake brewery. Lucky for you, you have Shojo's Dojo right here down the street.
Walking distance.
But imagine like people who don't have a sake brewery around them, you know. But
People
in
who live in
Japan,
Broward.
but in Japan, everyone has a sake brewery in their neighborhood. So like for them, it's like, oh, sacaron Doburoku, let's go get that shit,
Yeah.
bro.
So you
Like
plan your day around.
they go grab a bottle and they drink it at home. Because that's another
Well-
thing that's interesting.
No, sorry.
Tap rooms are not very common in sake production centers. They'll have a shop where you can go buy stuff, but it's to go and you drink it at home. And you can go to a bar to drink like native sake, but you can't go to like if Shojo
Their
was
space,
a
yeah.
sake, I mean a sake brewery over there, like
They're
90%
essentially production breweries with a shop to buy.
They don't have
to
a
take
tap
out.
room.
Yeah.
What's the alcohol content on this?
In general, it's 15 to 17%. This is 15.
The thing is that you and I haven't eaten.
15. Yeah.
15. So it's like drinking a wine.
No, but it's hitting us like a 30 because we haven't
No,
had
you know
any
why?
food.
You know why? Because I have a high tolerance, but your little slushies, those things are killers. You know, when you're there, like, oh, you want a
See.
slushie? I'm like, woman, we got to break everything down, and then put it in the truck and drive home.
But in all fairness, in the middle of July, when we're breaking
Oh,
down,
yeah.
No, they
hits
slap.
all the
That
right
shit
But
spots.
hits.
I remember one
If
time.
you guys come for the anniversary on March 22nd for the dive, we have a brand new one.
Well, he's going to be out of town, but I will be here and I'm planning to go.
Yeah, I remember there was a day that you gave me one that was like fire, and then you gave me another one, and I have a high tolerance. And midway through the other one, I was like, oh.
Did you end up getting a
boy.
syringe though? Because
Yes, I did.
Yes, it was a
okay,
syringe.
so
Yeah, yeah.
that's why,
So
bro.
we
Hello.
do-
Of course I got the syringe.
For the viewers, we do sake floaters. So we have the sake slushy that already comes with alcohol in it, and then you get this 2-ounce syringe floater that you can add on top of that.
They're not playing.
So actually, I want to bring it up because you brought up the anniversary of the dive bar, and when this episode airs, will actually be the Wednesday before that happens.
Oh, sick!
So I just realized I'm like, okay, so we should definitely promote it.
So the dive bar is the second part that
yeah.
opened up from when we first opened the original section.
I love that it used to be a vacuum cleaner.
We took
Yeah.
over rainbow vacuum cleaners.
And fun fact, the guy came 2 weekends ago. He on his 95th birthday to see what we did. He's like,
Oh, bless
I love
him.
it.
Oh, qué lindo.
But yes, March 22nd, Saturday, it's gonna be a Mardi Gras themed party. We even got little king cake babies. So when you order a slushie, you'll have a little king cake baby to take home.
if I do this, beads.
So
I mean,
we're
you
not
can
gonna
do
do
that
that, but
anyway.
you can, and we'll give you extra.
Okay,
but
all
you
right,
just
all
open
right.
up a tab and you order some stuff, and you'll get beads like automatically.
All right.
We'll have a
I'll pretend I didn't hear that
DJ.
part.
Yeah, we'll have a DJ. Great pizza from Flying Hippo.
Yes.
Unfortunately, not you guys, but
we need a break.
It's okay.
We love flying
And
hippos.
listen,
Yeah,
we'll,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll be there the following
there you
Saturday.
go.
So
For karaoke,
yes,
karaoke,
Yeah, yes, karaoke.
which is always a vibe.
It
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, super excited for that.
Yeah.
And we're doing Mardi Gras theme because we were supposed to go to Mardi Gras this year and it didn't work out. So,
Oh.
So
we're
bring
just-
it here.
Exactly.
Total, why not?
Okay, so I'm ready for the next one.
Let's go.
Yes.
Doburoku.
Although,
All right,
where,
so
do you have
the-
a cup to like put the?
Yeah, no, I got an extra.
Oh, okay. So
Okay.
it's Doburoku.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So I can see it from here. It's like a little like
Chunk.
It's I was gonna say cloudier because chunk doesn't sound good when you say it out loud, right?
It's
Like, oh,
chunky.
it's got chunk.
So it's a chunky nigori, like
Oh,
sake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. You're pouring it down. So while you're pouring, okay, yeah, no, it is
Yeah.
definitely.
Oh, you're
leche.
You're not kidding.
I love it. It is liquored
Eso viene
up.
con una cuchara.
It's
What's interesting about Doburoku is that the ABV that you have when you put it into the bottle is not going to be the same when you, because it's still actively fermenting as it's inside.
oh,
Who's
this
this?
is live and active cultures.
That's a new cup. You can.
Probiotic.
It is. Give it to Jamie Lee Curtis.
Where's the lie?
Oh, this smells like rice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if it's because you said the arroz con leche thing,
No,
but
but
it's
there's
but
you
it's
can
giving
see
me
the
that.
rice, so
It's-
you smell the rice. You can also smell like the lactose.
Yeah, we got to keep our producer
Of course, we got him, bro,
nice
we
and
got
liquored up
him.
over here. You know, he's part of the family.
For me, I love this smell because it kind of reminds me when you walk into an ice cream shop and you can smell the ice cream in the air.
Cheers.
Yes,
Kampai.
yes, kampai.
Kampai.
It's so funny how depending on who I'm drinking with and where I'm drinking, it's like salute, cheers, kampai, prost. Like it's like I just gotta keep it all in my head, you know.
So you can feel that it's alive. There's like little bubbles.
This is very complex. This is a bit of an experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
and it's like alive. You can even feel it on your lips when like
It's like tingling.
Yeah. And that's the active yeast and bacteria that's still happening in the sake.
It's just funny when you put it that way.
bacteria.
Good bacteria. It's
No,
probiotics.
I know, but it's just like
Activia.
exactly.
Dude, and what's crazy about this is like you can taste the alcohol, you can taste the carbonation, like all of that is in there.
But it's like you taste it as it's happening.
Yeah.
Like it's coming in like
Yeah,
parts.
yeah,
like
it's
you're
just
going
in
through
waves,
waves.
it's in
Yeah,
waves.
yeah. It is an experience.
It's kind of like
I
a
will
Willy
say.
Wonka when she has that gum. And now I'm having the turkey dinner.
Oh my
now I'm
God.
having the peach cobbler.
You guys offer this at the dojo?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And we also do a version called Dobroku Light.
This is
Which-
the dojo, not the dive bar.
Either
they're
side, it doesn't
we have
matter.
it on both sides. But we also do a version called Dobroku Light, which is where we separate the rice
Yeah,
from
we
the
filter
liquid.
it a little bit, just so it's not that chunky.
It's still thick, but we fruit it as well. So
Okay, but this you drink only a little bit, right?
yeah,
No.
yeah,
Because I
that-
can't
that's
imagine,
not. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Japanese people just drink the
Yeah,
entire
yeah.
thing. They love this because to them it's kind of like dessert, but alcohol, and there's like substance. I don't know.
It's just
So-
like
Just
if you have like a
imagine
port
growing
wine.
up with something, right? Because like the one thing that I find weird because I don't drink soda like that is so I'm Nicaraguense, and in Nicaragua there's milka,
Love Milka.
but I don't care about milka.
What?
Revoke your Nika status.
We're gonna have to take you to the embassy.
I don't
and
care
have a
about
conversation with
milka.
them.
Like the only thing that I ever crave is a Diet Coke here and there when like I don't know, I just finished a race and I just need something that's not
Seems
like
to pick you up a little.
yeah, it's just weird. And it doesn't even have sugar, so I don't even understand why my body's asking for that.
You come from the land of queso frito and jalapeno cream sauce.
I mean, I love those things, but I'm not a
It's the
soda
milka.
girl.
It's the milka, okay.
And it's not that I hate it, but I understand. Like, imagine, like, Nicaraguenses are like, milka. Like, we used to have milka. We had to stop carrying milka because I'm like, I can't. Because it would get sold out and then we couldn't get it because it would then be 86 and people were complaining about it. And I'm like,
okay.
no more milka, bro. It's done.
Like you don't.
What is that?
Iron beer is like a very Cuban. I don't
Well,
know.
Or
if that's
bata.
but that's because we're more of a mateba.
Mateba.
A
No,
mateba people.
right, but mateba has well, that's a whole other stick. Has a completely different lighter taste.
What is that?
It's mateba is
It's yerba mate.
yerba mate.
Oh, I like yerba mate.
yeah.
Yeah.
It took me a
Carbonated.
second there too. I just
But is that Cuban?
Yes.
Interesting.
even
I didn't know
though
you guys drink
mate
mate.
is
It's-
very Argentina.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Argentine.
Yeah.
I think also not Peruvians. Chile.
Wait, you're from
Eh.
Miami? You haven't had a mateba?
Yeah, I love materba. Yeah, yeah.
We actually have some today.
We had mate.
Yeah, I
We
was
had,
like, what?
not materba. We had
it's
mate.
also, I think it's also big in like Peru.
Yeah.
Well, Peru is more like el té de coco. De coca.
Oh my god.
Here we are. Drinks around the world. With Shojo
It's a
and
new
let me tell
segment
you.
on Pero let me tell you.
Sipping with, pero let me tell you.
Absolutely. But I want to go back to something because you guys had said you love studying, you love being educated, and I think you're actually following in a very a tradition of several guests that we've had on the show, right? Which is you have a background. I mean, you are an engineer, you are a doctor. And both of you basically said like, yeah, no, which is so, no. But I said because we have so many
Sorry,
people
Mom.
on this show who come.
It's a running theme.
It's
here.
a running theme here. People come in and are like, I mean, us, number one, we're frying chicken in your parking lot, right? But, but people who come in.
Why
it's-
do you put it that way? Like, please.
The tagline
You
of
don't
this
finish
episode.
yourself.
Click.
We're frying chicken in your parking lot.
Listen.
Listen, I do marketing for a living. That's clickbait.
Listen,
That's why
I went to law school with people that it's like, oh, I became magistrate. And I'm like, right, but did you win the South Beach Food and Wine Festival?
No, you didn't,
after
man.
winning Heritage Fire. No, you didn't. So you know what? Boo. But it's that running theme of people who we've had on our show who are like, quote unquote professionals, right? They go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, but no. How did that how do you guys,
How did
just
that pivot?
Yeah, how did that pivot? Because it's not easy to go to school
Yeah.
for 8 years to study something. And
8 years. Papa,
like-
I wish it was 8 years.
Well, but I'm averaging between the two of you.
Yeah.
To kind of then say, no, we're gonna follow our dream because that's not an easy thing to do.
So we actually, Mari and I met,
And I was in medical school.
and she was in
I was in my
medical
last
school.
year of medical. Well, I was graduating because then I did my medical mission trip, which
Yeah.
was like my graduation thing.
So we met in met quote unquote at the Miami Marathon in 2017.
I met him. He didn't meet me.
Yeah. I was running in my speedo, And
So you met the Samurai Piggy that day.
no, actually she didn't. So
No. Okay. Yes, because
she found
I
out
saw
about
him.
me that day.
Right.
She
I
found out
saw
about
that he
me
existed. We didn't exchange words. I didn't say hi to him. He didn't say hi to me.
And in all fairness, this guy running in a pink Speedo with that hat that you used to wear, that's going to catch anybody's attention. Period.
Pink Speedo, hairy body, 6'2", right?
Arabic. Come on, baby.
But enough about Bear Week in P-Town. Where did you two meet?
So we're running the race. It's like the one cold, rainy, windy day in Miami, and we're at the 12th mile. And then from Mari's side, she was telling me that her iPhone had died, and like she couldn't hear music anymore. So she's like, "Look,
Can I say this part because it's my
please.
perspective?
Oh yeah, sorry. I
You
don't know
didn't
why.
even meet
I
me
don't
that
know
day.
why I'm saying you're part of the story. My bad.
It was my first half marathon ever. It was my first half marathon ever, and my iPad died.
Yeah, running with an iPad.
My iPad, the music one.
iPod.
iPhone. Yeah.
Whatever. No, my phone died, so I couldn't listen to music. Luckily, I had my iWatch. I was tracking my run. So imagine, I mean, a mile's only a mile now that I see it, but like a mile's a long time after you've been running for 12 miles. I'm running and I'm like, fuck, my shit died. Like, it's gonna suck. And in my head, I was already quitting. And I'm just gonna walk from here to the end. It's still gonna be 13.1 miles. It's a half marathon, whatever. And I hear this freaking person behind me. You all have heard him laugh. Ho, 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 ho. Let's go, guys. We've got this. There's nice cold beer at the end. And I'm like, yo, who the fuck is this psycho? Why is he so happy? Like, bitch. So I turn around and you already know what I saw.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, I did a quadruple take where I was like, what in the fuck? This guy is on crack. Like, for sure. For sure. But that
She did
motivated
a
me.
quadruple take because she wanted to see what was behind the bib.
Not. But yeah, I saw that, and I'm wearing leggings. I have a jersey that I wore from iRun because I bought my shoes from them. I actually like vigorously trained with that running store, and I ran with that jersey just to like, bro, I'm here because of you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I had a short sleeve shirt under that and a hat, so I'm like fully clothed, and this naked man is running around like como si nada, like, let's go, guys, we got this. And I'm like, okay, if this man can be doing this for 12 miles, I can finish this race.
Look, Haider. Look at what you did.
You're
So-
inspiring.
I kept going. I finished, and he never runs road races. So if he wouldn't have been there, because he's a running coach as well, if he hadn't been pacing his friend who needed a pacer to
Shout
like
out
keep
Jade.
pushing them,
Love you.
he wouldn't have been there. So whatever, I finish. He finishes the race with his friend a few seconds after me, and he photobombs all of my pictures.
I was in her professional race photos at the finish line because we were like,
Yeah, you see him
This
like,
hairy man with a pink
Yeah.
speedo.
Right, yeah.
and I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Like,
But the reason we met was because one of my friends, Max, he was photographing he was one of the photographers for the event. So he's going around taking pictures of different people during the race, whatever. And Madi she found out later on that this is the type of person I am. She was taking a picture, and I just saw a camera. I didn't even know it was my friend Max, and I just photobombed the picture.
that's what he does to everyone.
And then after he took the camera from his face, I'm like, "Oh shit, Max, what's up, bro?" And we started talking, and then you could say the rest of your part now.
I posted a picture that day, like for me. The caption was all about like, oh, MVP, I did 13.1 miles. And then back then the algorithm on the explore page was different, where like if I post that I'm here with this tag,
Right.
like
Right.
of wherever I'm at, it'll show you people around the same
Right.
area.
We miss those days
Yeah.
when they would do that.
Same. So I posted the picture, and then I see his friend on my explore page with him, and I'm like, oh, the naked man. So I go on the picture, and I'm like, oh my God,
Wearing
I
a speedo,
hope
Have you seen him?
Not
Have you seen him,
naked.
Junior?
I'm gonna send the picture so that you can like, if you can edit it, so that people when see that when they're seeing the podcast, you guys can like put the picture of him with his speedo.
Yes.
But
That's the real.
but yeah, I find the post and I go into the picture. I'm like, please have an Instagram, and I find it, and I'm like, oh, I'm fucking tagging him. So I changed my caption completely, and I was like, while you may think that I'm hashtag the MVP of this picture because it's my first 13.1 miles that I've ever ran, I gotta give it up to his Instagram used to be Samurai Piggy back then, just alone Samurai Piggy, for running in the cold rain for that long like this. Because you see him in the back, like photobombing my picture in his piggy thing, naked with the Speedo.
And that was
And
the
then I-
beginning
then I-
of a love story.
No, but then I put hashtag MCM,
And
Man
your
Crush
boy
Monday.
slid into those DMs, baby.
Okay, let me ask you, because I used to follow you on Instagram way before that. I don't even know how I started following you. And okay, what is the origin story of the Samurai Piggy and the
And the big
Speedo and all
it's
that?
a beautiful. Thank you for asking. This is why he does that on purpose.
So, 2 reasons.
And he's a Miami legend, by the book. From those of you who
Far from
may not know.
Icon.
But
Side note, really quick, we used to write for Miami New Times. Now we have our hands on too many things, so like it's kind of like biased to like be writing for them. But when we got interviewed, it was Lainey who used to be
Lainey Doss, yeah.
awesome freaking woman.
Yeah.
But she was the one that she was a chief editor. So she interviews us and whatever, we're talking and she stops the interview halfway and she looks at him and I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, do you run in a pink Speedo?
no, because I had given her a sticker and she goes,
Oh,
I know you. She goes, I know you.
She just goes, I know you. She goes on her phone and does this.
We ran the
And
first.
she shows him a picture of his ass, his pink Speedo.
She was like, I was running behind you in this race. She goes, you got the job. I'm like, yeah. So I actually started running with my friend Michael Dieter. He used to be the panda. And he would run obstacle course races in a Speedo and a panda hat. So there was one day that he didn't, like, he was going to make it down to a race here in Miami, but he couldn't make it. So I was like, you know what? In your honor, I'm going to run in a Speedo. So ever since then, I had been running in a Speedo. And like while he was panda, I became piggy. So at one point, I was just like the piggy. I'd wear a pink Speedo, pink compression socks, and a pig
Pink
Laplander hat.
everything.
And at that point in time, I used to have a man bun. And
That's right.
and I had taken off the hat because I was just like, I finished a race. I was like spraying water in my face or whatever. And someone that was working the event walked by me. He goes, damn, man, you look like a samurai. And I was like, bro, Samurai Piggy, that's it. Yeah. That is my name. That's my moniker. That's what I'm going by now. And I had just adopted that. And the rest is history. But I started doing that more often because I would like, capture people's attention. And then I would like steer them to the fact that, we have a nonprofit. We're a recognized 501c3. We are Samurai Piggy and Friends. And we cater to kids with diabetes, cancer, special needs, and the less fortunate.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. I'm really glad you mentioned that.
And those are all things, like most of those things that he listed are things that he's lived with. He's been a type 1 diabetic since he was the age of 2.
You can see the arm.
Dexcom,
yeah.
Sponsor him.
Yeah. I noticed it earlier. You were pouring, and I was like, oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just felt terrible again.
Why?
Right.
Because of that time that I was like, oh, Haider, is that a new cell phone? He's like, no, it's my monitor. You remember that day? And I was like, que me trae la tierra.
It's okay. We went to a restaurant one time and they're like, oh my God, are you okay? What is attached to you? And we're like, he's diabetic. And they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm like, it's fine. Like,
been living with it all my life. It's okay.
And he's also a cancer survivor. He had thyroid cancer back in 2013.
12.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean,
so does the organization have like a website or an
Yeah.
Instagram or something?
Yeah, it has a website, Samurai Piggy and Friends.
Yeah, I was like,
.com.
plug it so
Yeah,
people
if you
can
guys
go.
want to give back. Also, he sells shirts at Shojo.
all
And
proceeds go towards
yep. And it's his face. So if you love him, you
Next
will, like,
time I'm there, I'll buy a shirt.
I mean,
I've always
we have
wanted a
tank
shirt.
tops.
That face.
We have tank tops too for you.
Tank tops?
Yeah.
For him, shirts for
Man
me.
tops.
Okay, done.
Yeah.
but we also like, I know we're veering way off point, but
No, this is your hour.
we do, what I love is that we've carried that over with not just the nonprofit, but we love having a business. And like you said, we're a community bar and brewery. And like, we do monthly events to where we raise money towards a specific nonprofit that like, like last month, or no, sorry, 2 months ago, we did it for the LA fires. Last month we did it for Black History Month. This month we haven't picked what nonprofit we're going to be doing, but we're like, we've been given
It'll probably be something female because it's female. It's Women's
Right,
Month. So
we've been given so much and have been shown so much love with the community that like that's our way to give back.
Right.
So
It may not be much, but it's something.
But it's something.
Listen, it's more than some people do.
Yeah,
You know?
it's something.
Yeah,
It's something.
and I think that's, again, just going back to like I know I said community bar, but you are Shojo. Shojo is you, and I think we've actually had this conversation many times. Like whenever y'all's name comes up, whenever anybody says like have you heard of Shojo or whatever, what we always make it a point to say, because we feel it here, is that without the two of you, it doesn't work, because it is your personality, it is your soul, it is just you guys are that place.
We always say, yes, in Shojo's you're going to have fun, you're going to have good drinks, but it's a vibe, and it's a very
and
unique
it's set
vibe.
by these two people
And when
right here.
people tell us of places to go, I'm like, you need to check them out, because it's a vibe. And I think that especially in Miami, that everything is so pretentious and so blah. When you again going back to the authenticity, when you come to people that are authentic and you come to an establishment that really, I hate to use the term safe space because that's sort of a cliche, but it's a safe space insofar as like nobody's there pretending to be anything else. Nobody's there like, oh, look at where I'm at. Like on Instagram, it's like people are there to have a good time, to hang out, to talk, to get to know you guys, to have the food. Even the fact that you just have pop-ups, which are like community based driven and all that, it's a very unique vibe. And I don't know if that was by design or if that's just a manifestation of who you guys are, that is what your end product is.
Well, you've heard us laugh. I think it's just a manifestation.
I honestly
No, I think it's the latter. Like we didn't plan for that. I think it's just us.
Yeah.
Like before we opened up Shojo, we used to do like once a month hangs with like our friends. We would like either cater something, or I would cook something, or I would like barbecue, whatever, and people would come and we would just host them. And then like what I see Shojo as is we're still doing that, but with strangers.
Right.
We're always throwing parties while it gets exhausting. It's fun because like kind of like what you were just saying right now, there's so many people that have come up to us and they're like, one regular told me where I was like, oh, what? Made me want to cry, where he was like, I just want to let you know, like when I found Shojo, I was going through a really tough time. And I hope you know that I need you guys more than what you need me. And I was like,
Wow.
My eyes
What?
are getting watery over this.
the
Wow.
fact that someone told me that, and I told him because he was telling me, and I'm like, dude, like that's insane. Like that's why I always say to people, like, don't be a dick, because be
It's
the
in your
best.
bathroom?
Be the best version of yourself that you can every single day, because you never know who needs that from you. You never know who you're inspiring, and you never know who you are becoming a safe space for.
And you never know what other people are going through.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I've heard of many people, like we became really good friends with someone that was a regular, still is a regular, and they had a death in the family, and then we threw up like a party for them because they didn't want to have a funeral. The entire family came. We opened up the doors for them. They threw the party. They had their own DJs. We left the doors open. We didn't charge them for like the space. And I'm like, hey, as long as we can keep the doors open. And they're like, hey, why don't you promote it for an event and we can like have a nonprofit.
That was like in December, November.
November.
No, when we had the glow up.
event. Yeah,
The
yeah.
glow
Yes,
up.
yes.
Yeah. It was so like the person that passed away, her name was Gloria, and she, it was from cancer. And so we did a cancer fundraiser. And for that one drink, proceeds went to the
Wow.
nonprofit just to like, hopefully somebody gets saved
Not
for
everybody
that.
would do that.
Yeah.
Not everybody would
But
do
it was
that.
fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. And like, it felt so weird. Like, cause I never met this person, but I kind of felt like she was there because all the people that loved her were there. And I was like,
You like what you said that they told you. That happens to us sometimes with the podcast. Like we know we have an audience, people reach out to us, but you sort of sometimes forget that there's people on the other side that are listening to you, that, follow you. And then you get comments like that it puts everything in perspective, that you're like, wow, like in our case, what we're saying, what we're talking about has an effect on these people. In your case, it's the vibe, the community of the bar. Wow, this took an emotional turn.
I know. Yeah, I'm getting teary eyed over here. Like,
but
I
it's
don't know.
emotional. And that's when we posted, we're moving. It's not that we're closing. Like we have
They're not closing, people.
Yeah.
We're moving.
Don't get the wrong idea.
More
Yeah.
info coming soon.
Yes.
Yeah, we have no intention of closing doors. I think that we never thought that. I mean, trust me, it's very tiring to like have a brick and mortar and to like manage that. Even when we're closed, we're always there doing something because there's always something to be done. But there's nothing more rewarding for one person. It just takes one person to be like,
Yeah.
you helped me.
Yeah.
And
It
like
gives
you
you
never
perspective.
But you never think that a bar's gonna do that, right? Because all you think is like, oh, people are just gonna go there to get drunk. And it's like, no, like sometimes you just need one drink to like breathe
you know,
and
the,
like
you know the thing with bars is that bars can be, it could be two extremes, right? It could be how you are, like community, vibe, family, or it could be one of these places that there's 1,000 people but you feel alone, right? Because it could be also very isolating, because it could be very overwhelming. Bars can be very overwhelming, especially here in Miami, that everything's so glitzy and
everything has to be a
pretentious.
club and
Yeah,
crazy.
and you know, turn it up, and you know, sometimes that could be very isolating at the same time. So just make sure in your new location you have a parking lot space for us.
We will. Don't worry.
I was gonna say, whether you ask us or not, we're going with you.
Yeah.
We're following
Can I
you.
fry chicken in your parking lot, please?
Yeah. We're gonna have fried chicken. Whether there's a parking lot or not, you're having fried chicken in your parking
Well,
lot.
no, I mean, we were even planning just a small snippet of what's to come. We were even planning of building like a small kitchen area. So
That's even better.
yeah.
Hey.
But
Just give us a sink and a hose.
Gotcha.
To clean this stuff after.
so to go back to the original question before we came all this
That was a
way,
nice tangent.
so
What was the original question?
I actually started as
Samurai
a
Piggy
civil engineer. I
origin
was a
story.
civil engineer.
Yes,
when-
yes.
and she was a doctor when we met.
Yep.
And she left me. Can you believe that? She left me for like 2 months to go on a medical mission trip. This one.
Full
All right.
circle, right? He
In
left
all,
me.
in all fairness, she went to help the poor. I mean, come on, guy. You have a nonprofit. All right.
It's not like she went to Japan to be a sake master.
I know, right?
You know?
Right.
Who would
Well,
do
I
that?
stayed
Who would do
behind
that?
working for our
Yeah.
business.
Right. And you know, and we saw her working, all right? I saw
Yeah,
her lifting
no,
lots
no.
of heavy things, sir, all right?
I was just back there like drinking a shit ton of sake. No, so we dated for a month. I had to ask her out 3 times before she finally said yes,
Because she's a lady.
because she's a lady. And then she was like a month into us dating, she goes, and not that she needs to ask me for anything, but she's like, hey, by the way, I'm going to
I didn't ask. I told him.
yeah, she told me, I'm going to Costa Rica and Costa Rica, Nicaragua, right? Costa Rica for 2 months. All right, cool. So she went.
For my medical mission trip, not for vacation.
Yeah. So she went, she did this. She came back for a week. And in that 1 week that we had together,
I had
she
a
was
stomach
sick
bug.
because she ate a Subway sandwich.
And
calling
then
you
he
out
got went
Subway,
to
in a Nicaraguan airport. And
Don't eat Subway.
she goes, she ate the sandwich. She goes, this cheese tastes weird. Oh, well.
But I was so hungry. You know, when you're so hungry that you don't care.
Oye, que te dé un hambre de eso, yeah. Like, yeah.
At least it wasn't a tuna sub. That
It
would have been so
wasn't,
much
but-
worse.
She's
So
dead.
she gets back, stomach virus. She's like throwing up. I'm like, I'm still working at this time. So like, I would go to work. I'd come back. I'd bring her like, you know, Vapor
Sopita.
Rub and, you know, Sprite and chicken soup and all that stuff. And then the day she gets better, she goes, okay, now I'm going to Kentucky for 3 months. See you later.
Another
I lived in
internship.
Kentucky. No, it was. I actually
She
had
had
the summer
off.
off.
Yeah.
And I had a friend that was in the medical the year that I was in school, and he was like, "Hey, like, I'm
She
gonna
went to
go."
sell alarms with Vivint in Kentucky.
and they're
for,
like, he's like, "Hey, look, like, they paid for the stay, like, for your apartment. You just have to make X amount of money to not pay out of pocket, like, your rent." And I'm like, "How much is rent?" Like, "Oh, you'd have to pay $500 if you don't make $500 or more." And I'm like, "How much are the alarms?" And they're like, "Oh, like the standard is like $300 a month." And I'm like, "Let's go." Sorry.
So with 2, you're good, yeah.
yeah.
So, bro, I was making so much money. Insane. Also, I'm in Kentucky and I'm tiny, Latina, and all these white people are seeing
Oh,
me.
look at this
They're
cute
like,
little girl.
"Do you want an alarm?" And they're like, "Oh, you're so cute. Come in."
How exotic.
Yeah. Where are you from? Where is your accent from? But yeah, I did so great. But then what's funny that it's not funny, but like something crazy that happened. I'm knocking door to door and then I see a house on fire and I don't see any like first responders or anything around there. And me and my friend that were together were like, bro, like we have to go knock and make sure that there's nobody in the house. So we knock on the door. There was an old person that was smoking inside the house, fell asleep, the cigarette fell, and it made the house go on fire. So after that, everything went in the news. We came out in the news, and because of that, and that house didn't have an alarm, We used that for the rest of the time we
Skyrocket,
were
baby,
there.
skyrocket, skyrocket,
We made
sales,
at
sales.
least 3 sales a day. That when he came to visit me, because he came to visit me,
Bro, ballin'.
he was like, mind you, I'm a
Ballin',
broke
dude.
ass medical student. And he comes in, he bought his flight.
I had
he
my
got the
engineering money at the
Airbnb,
time, so I'm like, baby, I will take care. She goes, no,
I'm like,
honey,
nah,
I'm gonna take care of you.
I got you.
She's making that alarm money.
Yeah. No, but he got the Airbnb, whatever. But he was like, oh, like whatever you want to eat. Where do you want to go? Like everything is on me today. And I'm like, nah, baby, everything's
I
on me
got you.
today.
Well, if the sake thing ever runs dry, you can
No,
sell
I
water,
could
baby.
I could
In
never.
Kentucky.
I could never because now Amazon is a thing and people all get rings.
Yeah,
no,
true.
no.
So all that to say, like we had like we were dating, whatever, and she came to me. She goes, "Hey, would you hate me if I didn't want to be a doctor?" I'm like, "What? Like, what does that mean?" And she goes, "Yeah, I don't want to be like I don't want to be going into the medical field right now. I want to pursue digital marketing." I'm like, "Listen, I don't care. Do whatever you want as long as you're happy,
And as
But-
long as you're making money
as long as you're making money." And I said, "Look, I'll give you 3 months to
to
find
get one client
to
at
find
least.
one client, and then like if you do that and you're happy and you want to continue to do that, then we can rock it." And again, I was still an engineer at the time, so I was taking care of the both of us.
Because your goal was to get into it, but like on your own.
Yeah.
Not working
Not
in
through an
or-
agency,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
So the first 2 weeks, she got Box Elder as a client, RIP. And then she also got like she started getting breweries. She started getting like these places. Like she at one point had like 9 clients or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's still she does the marketing for Shojo. She does the marketing for other businesses as well. And while I was taking care of us at that point, then there was that switch where we got married. We actually got married at Lincoln's Beard, and that was before I was working in the brewing industry. I was still an engineer, and we got married by John Falco. Like
The owner.
Wow.
he said, "Look, I'll give you the mezzanine for free, and I'll give you a bar tab on one condition.
And I'm like, name it, bro. Let's go. He's like,
you let me marry you."
And
I'm like, "Bro, done."
I was like, let's fucking go. He's like, wait, what? For real? You're down? And I'm like, yeah,
So
bro.
he did the universal $30, thing, and he married us on the mezzanine at Lincoln's Beard. And then a month later, he goes, "Hey, I'm opening up Strange Beast. Do you want to brew there?" Because he knew at that point I was home brewing beer a lot, and I loved beer.
And he knew he wanted to be a brewer. And that's one thing. Falco's impulsive too, but he also knows when to push people so that they can do the things that they want to do. And he is impulsive, but he also worked with his father. So he was scared to jump ship from that. With, brewing is not like, while it's a career, you're not making a lot of money.
Right.
So,
and there's a stability in
Yeah.
being a civil engineer. Yeah, of course.
And yeah, I was on the Strange Beast starting team. I was making pizzas. I was serving beer. I was brewing. I was doing it all. And then that was in 2019. At the end of 2019, then the Fire Pit Hospitality started, the hospitality group, and then all the brewing went back to Lincoln's. And I was brewing there for 3 years up until we started Shojo.
So the engineer and the doctor went to the brewer and the marketer. Wow.
And you know what's crazy? I recently, because I thought,
I love that story.
Yeah.
I love stories.
We
like
love those
that.
stories, yeah.
I love stories like that because that's like in a big way. That's our case, and I think that we're all children of immigrants, and
firstborn baby.
and
same,
yeah, same.
firstborn.
and well, I was born over there, so I'm like generation half. Anyway, and it is true that the first generation guilt of like my parents came to this country and sacrificed everything for me to have a better life and blah 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 blah. That really is a real thing.
Well, I didn't
got
think,
that
I didn't think,
last night.
What?
So
Oh,
finish
yeah.
what you're gonna say, and then I'll talk about it.
That didn't come from me. That was my mom reminding me every day.
Yeah.
You better be a doctor, an engineer, a lawyer, one of those three, because yo no me fui de Nicaragua for you to be doing nothing.
We didn't leave communism for you to be a liberal arts
I
major.
literally was I was so good at graphic design that when MySpace was a thing, and you know how you can convert it and make it look like
Yes.
a website.
We still miss
I used
MySpace.
to get
HTML,
paid.
baby.
I used to get paid $5 per friend. They're like, "Oh, can you fix my MySpace and make it look cute?" And mom's like, "Don't get any ideas. That's a hobby. That's not a career." Now look at me making fucking graphic design shit for
You probably
my
did some sick MySpace
Yeah.
pages
I did.
with
I
cool
did.
music and backgrounds.
Yep. Didn't even look like a MySpace. It
And
looked like
you know
a
what?
website.
Yeah.
That's probably a more reliable career nowadays with
Yeah.
tech being what it is.
Yeah.
Then you learn coding.
So when I had that so there was a point where I was working both at Strange Beast and with my father at the same time. So I'd like work 8 to 5 at engineering, and then I'd leave and then go to Strange Beast to work like the night shift. And they came to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's not sustainable. So I was like, okay, I have to sit down and talk to my dad and tell him, hey, I'm leaving. By the way, YHCE, big plug. If you ever need residential or commercial help with any engineering work, they got you.
They've
Sure,
done
that was a fun time with your Lebanese father.
Oh, dude. So I was sweating balls the whole day. Like, oh, do I tell him now before lunch? Do I tell him before I leave work? Should I tell him at the beginning of the day? Like, I was like, no, I'm gonna save it for like right before I leave. Like, so he can't he can't lock me in or like say some shit. So the conversation went a lot better than I thought it would, where he was like, oh my God. He was like sitting back. I was like, I closed the door into his office, and he's like, Dad, I gotta talk to you. He goes, okay. So he's like sitting back, leaning in his chair like this. And I go, I want to leave engineering to pursue brewing. He goes, all right. I think you're a fucking idiot, but okay. And he's like, oh, so what was the point of going to school? What was the point of finishing your degree? What was the point of like working as an engineer all these years? Because prior to the cancer, like I for sure thought that I would pursue engineering, because I actually did like engineering. I did love doing design. I did love doing that career, that aspect, that job. But after having cancer, I started traveling more. I started running more. I started doing all these things, experiencing life. And I was like, I can't sit behind a desk and just live my life out like that. So I was like, I love brewing. I want to pursue that. And, I want to own my own business. Like, that's just what I want to do. And he was like, okay. I was like, he's like, end of the day, I know he cares for me. He meant that with love, and that he just wanted to make sure that I was taken care of and had enough money to live.
Right.
But just the way it came out, I was like, fuck, man. Like, and the turnaround was, now he comes to Shojo, he drinks our product, and he goes, this is good.
Yeah.
This is good stuff.
I've seen your parents there.
I always say that, like, to immigrant families, they talk about coming out of the closet with like sexuality. No, I think coming out as a creative is scarier.
Yeah.
Like, that's scarier, because that's when you got look, are you crazy? Look at so and so, they're an artist and they're starving, and on and on and on and on and on. I didn't leave communism. I didn't leave Nicaragua. For you to be, whatever, doing little things on the computer.
Yeah.
Pintando cositas en la computadora,
Oh, but yeah, so all this to last night, I thought that this was 2019 that I had this conversation. So this is 6 years ago. And I was like, oh, my parents are over it. They love the business. They love Shojo. They love and my mom goes, we're still upset that you left engineering. I'm like, what?
Like, I have a successful business.
Probably will never go away. Probably will never go away. So, do we have more sake?
I mean, we
We have
got
Oishi if you want to continue drinking that.
Oh, no, we're going to keep drinking for sure.
We also have Asahi beer that we
we got
brought.
some Karakuchi.
Okay, let's
Who's coochie? What? What'd you bring?
Karakuchi means extra dry.
Oh, okay.
Let's have
Extra dry coochie.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not a good coochie. No,
nobody wants that. No, hit us up. Hit us up.
Yeah.
Hit us up.
Yeah, as we round the bend here and start to bring it in, I will say again, just thank you guys for swinging by.
Just pour a little
thank
bit.
you for bringing.
A little bit. That's it. That was a lot.
Yeah, that one. Hey, thank you guys for. As I'm like stretching here. I'm like, pour more. Thank you guys for coming by. As I said at the beginning, number one, we don't really invite anybody on the show if we don't like you or want or like your story or want you on here. So that's number one.
Your story's whack, no.
But right, it's just like I don't get it. I can't relate. No, it's not worth
Is there
telling.
a clean cup?
But
It's like water. No. Just chug that. I'll be fine with the cup.
see, what you guys don't know is that this is what they call a backdoor pilot. So they're actually this is them pitching their own series here at Cultura Talks Network.
No, I'll take that.
You know,
I'll
you've
take that,
heard.
I promise.
We're gonna have I Love Mari. You've heard of I Love Lucy. That's the
my God.
the route that they're gonna take. But no, what I was saying is, honestly, we love you guys. You know, you
love you
guys
too.
are just so genuine.
Mhm.
And whenever people, like, literally, I've said this when people are like, "Oh, let's go. When we hang out," we're like, "Have you been to Shojo's Dojo?"
Yeah.
Like, and it's
Go.
not because you're here. It's like, why don't we go there? And then, and then the bonus is like, we'll get there and like Flying Hippo will be there. So it's like, and then we get to hang out with like all of our friends and, but it really, so many local businesses now are facing so many challenges, and to see you guys thriving and to be even a fraction of making that, hopefully making that awareness happen. For us, it's an honor to be part of your story in
Aw.
that sense, because you guys really are doing something for the community, and you really are, you're a vibe, as Darian said. And thank you for coming on the show, but also thank you for letting us be part of Shojo's Dojo in any way possible, whether it's frying chicken in the parking lot
Oh my God.
or having you on, it's for us, it's we feel honored to call you guys friends.
Vice
Thank you.
versa.
No,
Same.
Absolutely. What you said. I mean, we have just been so blessed with the friends we've made, with the people we've met, with like you said, like with the community that we've garnered together because of this business. And like, I think my favorite thing that I will remember about this location, because again, we are going to be moving to another location. My favorite thing about this location is that we turned a place that not a lot of people know this, but you remember Boombox Miami? So we were the original location for Boombox Miami, which was like a speakeasy.
It wasn't
club,
speakeasy. It was like an underground club that
thing.
worked illegally. Nobody even knew it was there. If you know type
Oh.
thing.
They're still here,
but they're doing it real now.
Yeah.
We're not hip. So no, we're
Then Saba took it over, and then now it's us, and we're here in the Bird Road Art District with Unseen Creatures and Lincoln's Beard Brewing. So to have done what we've done, to have become Florida's first sake brewery, to have, I mean, honestly, even just stay open past the first year,
Yeah.
and then 6 months into being open, expanded into another space,
Yeah.
it was that quick.
It was
Yeah.
that quick.
It didn't feel that quick, but looking
Yeah.
back, I'm like,
We opened August 5th, 2023. March 5th, 2024, we opened the second spot.
Well, you guys should have a sign. I don't think you have a sign that says, but you should, if you don't, good vibes only, because that's really what you guys are.
aw.
Thank
Good
you so
vibes
much.
only.
But I think it's because you attract what you are,
Yeah.
which is why we're friends and why you are part of the Shojo's Dojo journey.
Thank you.
So like, I guess we just try to put out good so that we attract good, and that's all that
Yeah.
comes in there. We got our little few people that come in that are a little
Crappy people-
weird,
crappy
but
people
all
don't wanna
right,
go there.
You are a public business. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. But it is what it is. And like, one thing that I would like to say before we start wrapping up, and I say this every single time that we tell our story, because this is important for any immigrant person or any person that is living their life because through their parent. Nothing against my mom. I love her to death. I can check off the bucket list for her that her daughter went to medical school and did everything she wanted. Now I'm doing everything for me, right? Because it's my life and I have to live with the choices. But I always felt like everything that I was doing growing up, that I never belonged. Like I always was trying to like fit in. Like I was a triangle trying to fit into a square or a circle. And I told them this story many times. Graduated straight A's, honor roll all the time. Finished high school basically early because I had straight A's and like all I had was homeroom, and then I got on the job training for senior year to just go work because
She was one of those people.
yeah, I was. Thanks, Mom. But then I got into medical school, and even when I got in, like I showed my mom, like, hey, look, I applied the first time and I got in, and she's like, okay, what do you want? Like, you want a party? Like, that's what you're supposed to do. And I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna keep working. Went through medical school, straight A student again, did everything right. And then, so like, imagine, like, you get to the finish line, but there's no like celebration to anything. And on top of that, I never, doing all these things, doing everything right. I'm like, okay, like, why don't I feel like what I'm doing is right? Like,
Right.
I kept hearing growing up, bro, because you're supposed to fake it till you make it. I'm like, okay, but like, when do you feel like you made
Right,
it? Because I'm wearing my white coat. I'm walking down these freaking halls. I'm with doctors.
You've made it at that point.
I'm
Like,
treating
yeah.
patients, and like, I'm like, why do I still feel like this is fake? I don't belong. It's weird. And I remember telling him this. We did the grand opening at Shojo's Dojo. Well, we had friends and family first, and we did the grand opening. And after the grand opening, we got our asses kicked. That small little area, the small dojo, not even with the dive, we made almost $10,000. We have no right making that much money on the grand
In that
opening.
little ass space.
Yeah. We tell people that. We tell people, our friends who work at Lincoln's, we tell them that. And we know how much Lincoln's makes on like the best fucking night, but they're a huge space, right?
Yeah.
For a little freaking shack like the dojo to make that much money, that means that there was way too many people there.
You were a fire hazard that night.
It was bad.
Yeah.
Our asses got
They were
kicked.
outside.
Yeah. No, there were people outside too.
Yeah, they were outside.
So whatever, at the end, we finished cleaning, everything was done, and I had a shifty with him, and I never fucking cry for anything. If I cry, ask what's wrong because something's happening, or I really hurt myself and I'm like bleeding or whatever. And we cracked open a beer, we were drinking our stuff, and he was so happy. I can tell that he was like ecstatic, whatever. And I'm like, I told him everything that I just told you about never belonging anywhere. And I'm like, wow, I feel like I finally found where I belong. And I told, like, it always makes me cry because I don't know if you've ever felt that way.
I feel that way every single day.
It's literally such a magical feeling to finally find. And look,
Everything you described is me.
yeah, like the industry is not a place to become rich and famous. I mean, if you get bought out by a big company, cool, you made
Good
it.
for you. Yeah,
Good for
yeah.
you. It's not called selling out. It's called taking care of yourself.
You do what you got to do.
Yeah, but
Facts.
my thing is that you obviously don't do this for the money, right? You do it because, in a way, I'm still taking care of people. I may not be a doctor, but I'm serving. I'm taking care of the people that walk through my door, taking care of my staff. I'm listening. I'm paying attention to all the symptoms that are happening in my tap room, right? And everything that I learned in school. Maybe I didn't directly learn all those things to treat a patient, but I learned it to do it somewhere
So
else.
you found
I found what I'm
your
meant to be doing.
purpose.
Yeah.
And you created it.
you created
And
your
I feel like
purpose.
it's
created
I
your
feel like
own
it's gonna
spot.
grow from here because I think you found, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but I think that you found yourself because when he makes things and then it comes out, like that glow in his face, like you can't, like a chef
Yeah.
when a chef makes the perfect dish and like
Yeah.
he or she is complete.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that I am able to create something that makes people happy, surprises people, because I mean, I'm still, very
Critical
much-
on yourself, yeah.
I'm my own worst critic, but I still consider myself, even with the Master of Sake title, I still consider myself very much a novice in the realm of sake brewing. You know what I mean? We're on batch 7 now of sake. You know what I mean? And like, have I made leaps and bounds from like batch 1? Absolutely. Like, I would go as far as to say that, well, we won gold on on the last sake that we
Yeah,
released. We
congrats.
submitted it to a competition,
Congrats.
but I still have so much to learn, so much to work with, but I'm happy where I'm at and what we've accomplished thus far. And I know that there's still so much room to grow and so much. Shojo's not done. We haven't even began to peak
We've
yet.
only just begun.
We've only just begun.
Well, that is a great place to leave it at.
Mostly because we could keep talking for like 4 more hours.
I mean, for those who don't know, tell people where to find you on Instagram, where Shojo's at.
So Shojo's Dojo's address is 4233 Southwest 75th Avenue. And you can follow us at Instagram at Shojo's Dojo, SHOJOSDOJO. Oh.
And for a laugh, you could follow the Samurai Piggy.
And I'm little Matt. It's the thirsty samurai.
The thirsty samurai.
Who would have thought that he would have dropped the piggy and stayed a samurai, right?
Yes. I mean, well, we all evolve. We all have to grow up.
So, anyway, thank you so much for being on.
Of course,
we
thank
really
you for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
We were really excited to have you guys on because I said you're like, family, friends, and we learned so much today from you guys. Like, your origin story. So thank you so much for sharing it and for being vulnerable, for telling people your story. So
Thank you for allowing us to tell our story here.
So go have their sake, people.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
So